Hello, and welcome to episode 288 of the Casual Try Hard podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm James.
I'm fumbling, bumbling, stumbling there at the beginning. This is rough.
Right, Debbie's messing you up.
It's Debbie's fault. Yeah. Debbie does podcast.
Is that the name of this episode? Debbie does podcast?
No, we already picked one.
Yeah, I know. I don't remember what it is. I know it was a good one, but I don't remember what it was, so you got to remind me.
You want to burn it right now? Welcome to Folkemon. Gotta catch them. Uh-huh. Yeah. All right, so yeah, we're going to talk about some folk from Bloomborough. We're going to go through the interesting cards of the set.
Yeah.
And let us...
The stuff that we deemed interesting.
Yeah. So we're going to get about an hour in because James has family.
Yeah, I'm on vacation right now.
He
and I'm
drove
also
through
at home.
Yeah, he drove through standing water from his beachfront vacation home
just
30
to do
minutes
this
back to his house
for you guys.
Yeah. So if we don't talk about a card this week that you want us to talk about, let us know what we should talk about. So Facebook, Discord, Twitter, I guess X, email, and like later on, Carson's going to bring up the unshow and the what is it called for the patrons? The show notes. If you look in the show notes and you're like, oh man, why are they talking about this card? Let us know in the intervening week, please.
Absolutely. You'll be able to see not only the cards we're talking about today, but also the cards we're going to be talking about. So if there's something pressing that you think we missed or you think is interesting that we didn't touch on, like Brian said, down in the description, all those links, or you can just search and find us. Do you ever actually use links like in descriptions?
I don't know. I don't really know. I hardly ever look at a podcast description.
Well, even like on YouTube or something. I never ever look at descriptions.
Yeah, every so often I will, but not really.
Yeah. So the links are there, but you don't have to use them. You can just search us as well.
Yes, you can just find us. It'll be fine.
If you're looking to support the show, there's a couple ways you can do that. The first is with our TCG player affiliate link, CasualTryHard.com/TCG. You don't actually have to click the link. You can just type that in if you want to, if you don't want to go in the description. But surf on over to TCG player using that link. Anything you purchase will help to support the show. Doesn't cost you guys anything extra and helps us out. If you want to support us more directly, Patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG is where you can do that. Again, you don't have to click the link. You can just type it in, Patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG. It'll bring you right to our page. You can sign up, pitch a couple bucks in, help to support the show, and in return, you'll get access to our unshow. We call it the unshow because it's unedited, unscripted, anything.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. It's just us shooting the shit, talking about Magic sometimes, talking about bridges sometimes, talking about life, catching up, making sure our equipment works. A little bit off the cuff.
A little bit.
Our patrons really seem to enjoy it, though. So if you want more content out of us, or just want to support the show, or want to get access to them show notes, Patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG. Surf on over.
Check it out.
Yep.
All right, so we have a bunch of cards. I should probably. I'm slacking. I don't even have the show notes open.
Oh man, you need me to bring them up on screen here.
I'm gonna get right to them now. Boom, we got a card. All right. So first up is a Biza the Bounding Spring. 2 white for an elemental elk. It's a 4/5. And when Biza the Bounding Spring enters, create a treasure token. If an opponent controls more lands than you, you gain 4 life. If an opponent has more life than you, you create 2 1/1 blue fish tokens. If an opponent controls more creatures than you, and you draw a card, and an opponent has more cards in hand than you.
The best timely reinforcements on the planet.
Exactly.
Yep.
So, the reason I brought this up is, you know how like in some of the like blue-white control-ish decks, they'll play like Regal Caracal in the sideboard?
Yep.
Like, I know that like it's conditional if this becomes a Regal Caracal.
Right.
Right? Your opponent has to have one creature.
Yep.
Right. But the times when it becomes Regal Caracal and gains you 4 life, like, you probably don't ever lose those games. The times where it's just a 4/5 that gains you 4 life,
You're probably fine.
as long as they're not super wide,
right?
Right, like in like Pioneer Supreme Verdict into this on turn 5.
Yeah. So you looked at this card and saw Control Finisher.
Like Control Finisher, like Control Juke Stabilizer.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I also thought, like, again, in my Elementals deck, which will be good in a year when they print a bunch of 2025 Elementals in whatever that, where the heck are we going? Where is that place that all the Elementals are? Within
Lorwyn?
Lorwyn, yes. When they print like the new Lorwyn set, and that deck becomes amazing.
Yep.
But like this is like, oh hey, I'm playing against an aggressive deck. I guess I will cut like, the Omnath that shoots something and put this in, and then just like gain 4 and like make 2 1/1s, and then you can never win.
Yeah. I also think that like this card is probably better than it should be in a mid-range shell too, or not better than it should be, but better than like comparable cards. Things that want like this type of ability. Like this is something that white does, right? As it compares your resources to your opponents and then like tries to catch you up. One of the ways they do that is through lands, like this one. But this gives you a treasure. The problem with those, like the ones that catch you up on lands, is that once it happens, like you're caught up, and then that turns off every version of that card for the rest of the game, more likely. But this gives you a treasure, so it doesn't catch you up. Like if you have multiple of these or a way to bounce this thing, like you can just
flicker it.
Yeah, you can just get a treasure every turn.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know, like that struck me as being better than it reads. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that this is just like such like a, like against like a red deck, right? The red decks, they typically top out at like 4 on their like 2 damage removal spell that they would like side in, and you bring in a 4 or 5, and it's just like, yeah, you can't. Sorry, you can't kill this ever.
Right, no getting through.
Yeah, and like against a black deck, you're just like, yeah, I drew my card off of it. Like if you kill it, that's fine. Maybe I got 2 1/1s. Like it does a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like, this seems better than Regal Caracal.
No, for sure. Well, it's a mana less too, right? Isn't Regal Caracal
it's
5 mana?
Yeah, it's 5 and makes 2 1/1s that are effectively 2/2s.
Right.
And this is 4, and it's a bigger body. And like I said, the fish are conditional, but like you're putting this in your control deck because you like are going to be behind on bodies a lot of times.
Yeah.
And so like this is just going to be fine for that. Yeah, but card is very good.
Yeah, I think so as well. The next one we have here is Dawn's Truce. This is 1 and a white for an instant, and it has gift the card. So we talked about this a couple episodes ago, the gift mechanic. You can promise an opponent a gift as you cast the spell. If you do, they draw a card before its other effects. So on resolution, but before anything else happens. And this says, you and permanents you control gain hexproof until end of turn. If the gift was promised, permanents you control also gain indestructible until end of turn. The only reason I wanted to bring this up is because it's mostly heroic intervention.
And heroic intervention has been a very expensive card for a while.
Yeah, I mean, it's not... Heroic intervention definitely saw play when it was in standard, and it has definitely seen Pioneer play. But heroic intervention is like an EDH staple. Like that's what's
100%
price. And this is basically that, but in another color. So decks that might not have had access to heroic intervention could have access to this guy. And also, like I said, to point it out because it definitely saw play as it's in its previous iteration in standard. So,
and so now white has this and Teferi's protection in Commander.
Yep.
And right, like white is the Armageddon color. give all of your permanents indestructible, and then blow up the world.
Oh, I didn't even realize this was all permanents.
Right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Permanents you control, yeah. So you're just like, I'll pay 2 mana. Hey, Mikey, here's a card.
Yeah.
You've got no lands to use that card.
Yeah, I mean that might even be a better comparison than my heroic intervention, comparing this to Teferi's protection.
Yeah, like because you could, your opponent casts Armageddon, and you're like, okay, cool. I'm gonna be dealing with the lands at the end of this exchange.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also it just like stops Storm.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get hexproof. It shuts off discard.
Yeah. And like
interesting.
The stopping Storm thing is interesting because like Storm decks like really stressed about oh gosh, what is the green card? Veil of Summer?
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, I can never beat a Veil of Summer.
Yep.
Right? Now like in Legacy, now like stupid Death and Taxes now gets a veil, exactly. And now you've got like 2 of them to worry about.
Yep.
So yeah. But yeah, definitely like I think it's very much an EDH card / like if there is like once like Sunfall goes away and there's like there's like a Wrath that actually blows up permanents.
Right.
Then like this card is like exactly what you want.
Yep, definitely. Let's see. Next up, we have Seasoned Warren Guard. This is a single white mana for a 1/2 Rabbit Warrior. Whenever Seasoned Warren Guard attacks, while you control a token, it gets +2/+0 till end of turn. Kind of an innocuous little card, and I don't know that it's like overly good. I just thought there was an interesting comparison here to Toolcraft Exemplar, which was mostly the same thing. I mean, the first strike mattered on Toolcraft Exemplar.
Yeah.
And this only triggers when it attacks. So you can't do the funky crew a vehicle thing with it. But a 1 mana 3/2 is no slouch.
Yeah, so I was thinking like it kind of depends on like how many slots you have for a thing that doesn't make a token.
Right.
But like if you think about
well, I mean, we have Thraben Inspector though. Like that's in this format.
Yeah, but I was thinking about like in Pioneer the Convoke deck.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Right, like everything in that deck, you've got 8 Thraben Inspectors, 4 Valduran Epicures, and then Gleeful Demolition. Those, and then the Flash White creature that makes 2 tokens. Right, like, is there an argument where you just like this? Like, is there a deck where you have this in Toolcraft Exemplar and then like 8 Thraben Inspectors? Or like other creatures that make non-artifact tokens, because it's not like like a creature token, whatever. Just have a token and like it does the thing.
Right.
So yeah, like if you had 8 Toolcraft Exemplars, which again this is Toolcraft Exemplar at home, but like, and then you have a bunch of ways to make tokens. Like you could be attack for 3 next turn, like go like this into like Toolcraft Exemplar and a Thraben Inspector, attack for 3, the next turn attack for 7.
Yeah.
Right, pretty easily.
Yeah, that's not even a nut draw, that's just like a regular draw.
Yeah, like that's, and like you could almost do like mono white where you have like this and then the Warden of the Inner Sky. And then Toolcraft and then the 8 Thrabens plus the like make 2 guys thing, and then I don't know, any number of other things that just pump them up. It doesn't really matter at that point. So yeah, no, I hadn't thought of it as like Toolcraft Exemplar, but it is, or it is like enough of a part of one that it's good.
Yeah, it's a Toolcraft Exemplar that is I don't want to say more versatile, but like is at home in more decks, I think.
Because it's like, since it's just make a token,
Yeah.
Not make specifically a creature token or an artifact token. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like you can just make any token. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I think Wizards of the Coast has kind of shown their hand with their willingness to just print random pieces of cardboard into the game. So.
Yeah. So unrelated. Have you seen that Mystery Booster 2 is out?
I have.
There is a card. One of the playtest cards that is every mana symbol colorless through Wooburg, and it's like a 6/6, and you win the game if you have like a poison counter, an energy, a clue, a blood, a treasure, a map, like one of like every trinket they have ever made. And so I'm like, that card is only going to be good for like, it's only gonna like have everything on it.
Yeah.
For like another 6 months before they like put out another thing. It was
just wait till we get to Duskmorn and there'll be like a chainsaw token or something.
Oh yeah, exactly. A murder token, a nightmare token, or something.
A TV token.
Oh, TV token. I give you 3 TV snow.
Right.
Oh no. All right. Next up, this next one's my fault. Whiskervale Forerunner. It is 3 and a white for a 3/4. It has a Valiant, and then whenever Whiskervale Forerunner becomes the target of a spell or ability you control for the first time each turn, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card with mana value 3 or less from among them, and you may put it onto the battlefield if it is your turn. If you don't, put it onto the battlefield, put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Oh.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. I hadn't fully read this paragraph until I played it.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it just puts it onto the battlefield, like, it's like a collected company that requires work, but like, it's a 3/4 body, and like, there's enough ways to, like, you know, target it with a map, target with something else dumb. I was like, oh, what is it? Nomads in Core and Modern. This finds your what's his name? Your Nadu, because Nadu has mana value 3 or less.
Yep.
But I was just like, oh, this card does so dang much for, like,
I mean, in a Nadu deck, this triggers off equipment also. Like you can shoot.
It does, yeah. And like you get to look deep for it as well. But I mean, again, Shuko or Nadu are probably getting banned in like 3 weeks.
Sure.
So, but yeah, I was when I played it in Limited, I was like, oh, this just puts it onto the battlefield. Oh, yeah. Like, this is nutty.
Yep. Directly into play.
So
do not go to the stack.
I don't know what the home would be for it. Because right, like in Constructed, it's hard to have like, you know, these cards care about being targeted, and these cards target those things, right?
Yeah. Also, like, it doesn't pay you back immediately, which is tough for a 4 mana value permanent to be in 2024.
Yeah, but I was just kind of like, huh, this seems very powerful.
Yeah.
But it just might not be. It might not be powerful enough, even though it has like an alpha length paragraph, both in words and font size.
Right.
But yeah, I'm just like, oh, this is pretty good. That was all. I just played it in Limited and went, holy crap!
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
Does the thing? I wonder if like, does D&T want this?
Oh gosh, like with Mother of Rooms and Stepmom.
Yeah.
Like you just like, yeah, that's interesting. Like you play this and then
like put a Thalia
you just
in play.
put a Thalia in play.
Yeah.
Or like you play this and like, you know, it gets a little awkward where like, you know, you don't want to target it with your mom until like they target it.
Yeah.
But you know, you could like you like violent a Flicker Wisp and target this.
Yeah.
And it like puts a creature in, goes away, and comes back. And you're just like, oh.
Does D&T play Maze?
Oh, I don't know if they do.
Yeah,
I don't
I don't
think they
think
used
they
to
do
not.
either, and it has to attack with Maze.
Yeah.
That would be interesting as well. Like if you could have some sort of land that has, just a random ability that would target this as well.
Yeah, that doesn't really matter.
Right.
Yeah, but that is that is an interesting idea.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine like somebody going to kill this with whatever, and you like mom it, put a PV in play?
Eat the thing that they have in their hand. Yeah, you just win the game on the spot. Yeah, but like, yeah, if you have like 8 mom effects and then this, like, you're always gonna have like a way to like trigger it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, D&T plays swords sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like that triggers this as well.
Oh yeah. When you said swords, I first thought swords to plowshare.
No,
That was like,
like,
well, that would be bad. But yeah,
no,
like
actual
sword of
swords.
fire knives
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Umazawa Jite or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about Jite. Yeah, Jite also.
Yeah. So.
And actually, Jite is an interesting one.
Oh, because is it like, does it does it target the +2/+2?
I think so.
I know the -1/-1 targets.
Yeah.
So like you could like have it attack, and then on your like opponent's turn, give it -1/-1, and get another bite at the apple.
Yeah.
That one goes in your hand, but still.
Oh no, it's equipped creature.
Okay.
Equipped creature gets +2/+2, or target creature gets -1/-1.
So you just give it -1/-1 trigger.
Yeah, I mean you can do that at instant speed. So you swing with it, you get the counters, and then you do the thing.
Yeah. You could do it once on your turn to put one into play, and then once on their turn to put one in your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next turn, do it again.
Interesting.
So, yes.
All right, next one we have moving on into blue. This is Eddie Merc Crab, 5 blue for a 5/5 elemental crab with flash, and it costs 1 less for each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard. It enters tapped if it's not your turn, and when it enters, you tap up to 2 target creatures. This is probably the best like serpent thing, right? I mean, it doesn't do hexproof like the other one, but being able to tap something down can buy you a turn after you filled your graveyard up to cast the thing.
Yeah, like this is the best. So there was it Cryptic Serpent was the blue, I think blue 5.
Yeah.
From Amonkhet, and then we have Tolarian Terror, which is 6 in a blue.
Yeah.
With Ward. Yeah, I mean, it's awkward because like if it were a common, like the limited environment would be miserable. But like where the Serpent Sea play is like Pauper.
Yeah.
And so like this doesn't get to like live its Pauper life.
Well, I mean, there's been not recently, and I mean things change all the time, but there's been points in time where that style deck has popped up here or there.
Or like in standard, like there was definitely like I played Drakes for a while years ago.
Yep. And there was a point in time where that deck stopped playing Pioneer though.
Or like is like in like blue red, like the blue red Phoenix deck. Right, they sometimes play which one is it? The blue red Drake.
Yep.
Crackling Drake. Like they'll play that. Right, like you could see this as being something they might consider. But yeah, like in limited at least, like like you don't get the ambush stuff, but like the fact that you can just like use it as like a bad sleep, like either to like make it so they don't attack you, or like let them let them attack and then tap their 2 blockers and be like, here's a 5/5.
Right. Surprise.
Yeah, you thought you were alive. You were very much not alive.
Sneaky crab.
Yeah. If it entering tapped, like if it didn't enter tapped, if it was like tap 2 things and eat something, it'd be just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like it'd just be miserable.
Yeah. I mean,
But
Flash is interesting also, though. Like that's none of the other ones of these have Flash.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, with standard getting bigger.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it only really takes maybe in like a year and a half them to like do another draft format that is like blue red spells to have enough like commons and uncommons that are like cheap cantrips and things that care about you casting spells or spells in your graveyard for a deck like that to pop up in standard and like be decent.
Yeah.
Right? It usually takes like, because like the Amonkhet one, you had like, was it like Hour of Devastation was like the blue red spells archetype where there was Enigma Drake?
Yeah.
And then is it in guilds, I think? Was blue red spells, and it was just like, oh, we're just gonna smush yeah, we're gonna like Phoenix, and then we'll just throw all the signpost uncommons in from these draft formats, and like there we go. And like the blue red otter is like a good card, like on paper. It doesn't seem like that draft archetype works.
Yeah, my first draft I think was blue red otters, and I had all of the good ones, and it did not go well.
Yes. Yes, I don't think it's very good, but like the cost reducer otter plus like the otter divination.
Yeah.
Where you're like, you play that, then you're like 1 mana draw 2, and you're like, woo. But no, I think that like there could be a point where that deck is good, and this card would probably be part of it.
Yep. Was this one mine or one of yours? I don't remember.
This was one of mine.
All right, well, go ahead.
So, Into the Floodmaw is a blue for an instant that has gift, a tapped fish, and return. Have fish. You like fish? Take fish. When target creature and return target creature and opponent controls to its owner's hand. If the gift was promised, instead return target non-land permanent and opponent controls to its owner's hand. Really random card to put on the list. But a lot of combo decks in Legacy will play Vapor Snag or Chain of Vapor.
Yep.
Right? And Vapor Snag and Chain, I think, are both. I know Vapor Snag is a sorcery. Chain of Vapor, I'm pretty sure, is a sorcery as well. Right? So, like this is instant speed Vapor Snag. When you're like, is it instant? Okay, but is it 2 mana?
No, 1 mana.
Okay.
Chain of Vapor is the one that you can keep going though. Your opponent gets to bounce something to yours.
Yes.
And then you get to bounce something to theirs.
Yeah, but this is like instant speed Vapor Snag when like you're going to win.
Right.
Like you've got I've got to get rid of their what is his name? Gaddock. Right? So instead of having to spend that mana on your turn with Vapor Snag, you just end of your turn, get rid of your Gaddock, take a fish, I'll kill you now.
Yep.
I'll storm off and kill you or whatever. So this just is like it's a sideboard card, but it's one of those that's like this exists. It's probably better than Vapor Snag in the decks that are like I need to just get the hate permanent off for like a turn.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I gotta get a Trinisphere or whatever off the battlefield. And like if it is a Gaddock, you don't have to give him a fish. You just send him back to the hand.
Right.
So that is all. It was more like this is an interesting sideboard card.
Nope, I agree. Next up we have Mind Spring. This is X blue for a sorcery, and you draw X cards. Doesn't target a player, so it only hits you. But X blue, draw X cards.
Is this in the main set? Like I've never seen this card in any of my drafts.
Oh, maybe it's not. It came up. It was in the card file.
I believe you. I just haven't seen it.
Maybe we can skip this one if it's not in the main set. I don't know why it would have been in the main set card file, but Oh, nope, it's in the starter kit.
I mean, so it's still like
It's standard legal.
it's still standard legal.
Yeah.
And it's a reprint apparently. It's from Morningtide.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But it has not been standard legal in a very long time.
Yeah. I didn't necessarily think this card by itself was super interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I thought maybe we could just kind of talk about this type of card's place in a format.
Okay.
We've had things like, obviously this isn't as good as like Rev,
No.
right? But like over the course of time, this sort of card does show up in, whatever blue X control deck exists out there.
Yeah. So like I think the big so like the big thing is sorcery reverse instant.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you had if you go really a long time ago, Stroke of Genius.
Okay.
Was from uh Urza Saga.
Mm-hmm.
And it was 2 and a blue. 2 blue X instant draw X cards.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And like those kind of cards play pretty all right in the control deck. And then there was Rev, which is it blue white?
Yeah, blue white X.
Instant. So gain X draw X.
And expansion explosion.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that was X,
Blue
X,
red
red, blue.
I think it was X red blue.
Just one X?
I think it's just one X. I could be wrong. And then there was there was the one from like Amonkhet, Hour of Devastation. Yes, X blue red.
Okay.
Amonkhet, that was like blue extra card, then discard one or something. It had like an hourglass on it. But yeah, you're right. These are like maybe your control opponent could possibly play like 1
mm-hmm.
or like 2. They just don't play like a ton. Well, Rev was different because it just like won you the game. But like, in the late game when like they've got your board under control and they just need like more ammo,
Mm-hmm.
this is the kind of card that they can just play and like shut the door.
Yeah, I mean, later in the game, they've made all their land drops and they got 8 mana or whatever. Like, you could totally cast this for X equals 3 and like hold a counter spell up to answer whatever they're gonna do.
The next turn, yeah. Like think about how like devastating like the second memory deluge is.
Oh yeah.
Right. So like at that point they're like 11 mana in and have drawn 4 cards.
Yeah.
They've got to look at a bunch of cards. They've drawn 4. They put 4 cards in their hand.
I guess that's
like
another interesting question though, is in a format with memory deluge, like, is this card even worth talking about? Like,
is memory deluge still legal?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I think
anymore. Like,
they've
changed the rotation.
I think it rotated.
Did it?
I think, but I agree that they change it too much.
Yeah.
So it is not legal in standard. It just rotated. It rotated with Bloomborough.
All right.
But yeah, this could be like the big like end of game, just put the game away, card draw spell.
Yeah, I didn't realize this was only in the starter kit. Like, that probably says something about this card's power level in terms of Magic. But
yeah, but like it is interesting to point out like these are the kind of cards that historically you have gotten to like play in your control as like this was your control finisher, right? You're just like tap all mana, gain a bunch of cards. Like I don't care what you do next turn because I've drawn every resource imaginable.
Right. Next one we have is Valley Floodcaller. 2 and a blue for a 2/2 Otter Wizard with Flash. You may cast non-creature spells as though they had Flash. And whenever you cast a non-creature spell, birds, frogs, otters, and rats you control get +1/+1 until end of turn and untap them.
Interesting.
Interesting. What does that sound like?
It does, like, in the notes, it does kind of sound like Jeskai Ascendancy.
Yeah. Do we got any way to combo off with this guy?
The problem is you can't make your lands birds, frogs, otters, or rats, right? Like
No.
the lands usually turn into like elementals
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I mean, is there like
Do we have a
there is
frog mana dork?
you have a rare that turns all of your frogs into mana dorks.
Okay, that works.
Right, so like Pawn Prophet, what is that? It's like it's a legend. It's like 1 blue green. When it enters, you can return a creature with mana value less. When it or another frog enters, you can return a creature with mana value less than that to your hand, and then all of your frogs tap for blue and green.
Yep.
So, right, you could like get a couple frogs out and then go ham.
Or something like a Cryptolith, right?
Oh yeah.
Just make all your dudes mana dorks.
Or
Ashaya.
Oh yeah, because then they're all
lands.
Yeah. Okay. What was? I assume you can do something with this in like Retraction Helix. Oh, like Retraction Helix, and you need a legend, but Retraction Helix mocks Amber. That just goes infinite. Like you need a legendary otter.
Yeah.
And you just get to like make infinite mana.
Isn't that frog legendary?
The frog is legendary. Yeah, so like that would work.
Yeah.
So yeah. So it is like anything that says like untap everything is usually abusable in some way, shape, or form.
Yep.
Right. This is just like more fragile.
Yeah.
Than a Jeskai Ascendancy. But like your opponent taps out, you flash this in, and then you just get to like do the thing.
Well, I mean, if you already have the pieces, you just do the thing right there because you can cast non-creature spells as though they had flash.
Yeah, I assume that the thing is like attack with a bunch of stuff, and that does.
Yeah, that
too. There was again like if you have a way to like make mana non-conventionally, there was again more saffron olive nonsense. There's the otter that when you cast a non-creature spell, it makes a token copy.
Oh yeah, then that guy.
He was playing oh gosh, Insidious Roots.
Sure.
Because now all of your tokens tap for mana.
Yep.
So then it was like you get your first token, tap it for mana, then you make 2 tokens.
Yep.
Tap them, and then you eventually like just make a huge army of guys. So if there was like some like red thing that was like, oh, tap a token, make a mana.
Yeah. This guy doesn't count rabbits.
Does not.
That's kind of weird, isn't it?
So
or is the way like that?
The way these cards work is like there's Splash Portal, the uncommon.
Yeah.
It's like bounce like flicker a creature, and if it's a bird, frog, otter, or bat, draw a card. So like right, each color has 4 creatures associated with it.
Oh.
So
gotcha.
blue's creatures are birds, frogs, otters, and rats.
Yeah.
White's creatures are mice, rabbits, birds, mice, bats. There you go. Thank you. So like each color has their own.
I gotcha.
And so this is it's like 4 creatures.
Right. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. But yeah, if there's some like tap a token, make. Oh, what about?
Isn't there an otter that like taps and pings?
Yes, it also untaps when you cast a spell. Yeah. But like you would get 2 untaps, right? Because you put 2 triggers, so like you could just spells. Yeah. The duo.
Yeah.
The lizard otter duo. There was a green red legend that was like, was it tap 2 artifacts or tap 2 tokens make like a mana? It was like red green. It was a creature. It was legendary.
Was it Ruby? No.
No, that was the like that's similar. That one makes the meteorite. We thought it was cool. I don't remember what it was though. Oh, here it is. Oh no, this is definitely not. It's tap 2 untapped non-token artifacts.
Oh,
never mind. So 100% not what I was looking to do.
Yeah.
Oh man, maybe I should get them. They are 12 cents. Buy low. Buy low. See what we can
buy
get
low,
here.
sell bulk.
Buy bulk, hope for best.
Yeah.
But okay, never mind. Yeah, but like that's a card that like they're gonna print something that's like blue, make all your creatures a certain type,
and
then you're gonna be able to go off or something.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to black. This is one that you wanted to talk about, I think.
Yes, Bandit's Talent. So 1 in the black. When Bandit's Talent enters, each opponent discards 2 cards unless they discard a non-land card. So it's basically 1 in the black, discard a card.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Ravenous Rats. Well, not Ravenous Rats, whatever.
Burglar
One of
Rat.
the rat cards. Bugler Rats. Without the rat.
Yeah.
And then for black, at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, if that player has 1 or fewer cards in hand, they lose 2 life. And then for 3 and a black, at the beginning of your draw step, draw an additional card for each opponent with 1 or fewer cards in hand.
Mm-hmm.
This is like kind of a pioneer safe rack.
Yeah.
Right. We have Shrieking Affliction.
Mm-hmm.
Then this, right? Like you could almost make like
Lily.
an 8 Lily, Davriel.
Yep.
Right. Like you could make like the Waste Not deck without Shieldred and like some of the other stuff. You're just like, I do one thing, I empty your hand.
Right.
Like you're always gonna be at low resources because like I have a million ways to do that.
Right.
And then this like gives you resources plus burns them out.
Mm-hmm. I thought this was a really interesting rack.
Yeah, I mean, it's a rack that kind of does the thing to turn it on.
Yeah, it does all of the things.
Yeah, but it's like, hey, for 3 mana, you get a card and a rack.
Mm-hmm.
All in one card as opposed to like Shrieking Affliction.
Right.
Where it's just like, I'm just Shrieking Affliction and then I don't do anything. And this is like, I do something, I get rid of a card, and then later when it's go time, when you've got them out of cards, you can pay the black mana and start doing stuff.
Yep. It's also an enchantment, which sometimes is flickerable.
Mm-hmm.
Not all the time, but sometimes.
Yeah, you could just get it back. Also, like, we are getting a lot of this is another thing I want to talk about with another card. We're getting a lot of enchantments or other permanents that like sit around on the battlefield,
right,
that like have like run your opponents out of resources. So there was a time when you would play what is it called? Oh my gosh. Doom Foretold.
Yeah, that's where I was
right?
thinking we were gonna go.
Yeah, but like now you have Hopeless Nightmare.
Yep.
And this.
Yep.
Right? Like you're like, okay, I'm gonna run you out of resources and then my Doom Foretold is good.
Right.
I tried this a while back. Doom Foretold was not good. Like I was playing, I had the mirror card, whatever it is, the one black with from Throne
Wilds
of Eldraine.
Yeah. The Beseech the Mirror.
Yeah, it's Beseech the Mirror. I watched a video and someone was calling it Beseech the Queen, and I was like, well, that's not right.
That's not right.
Beseech the Mirror, and I could get like Doom Foretold like whenever I wanted. I had 8 of them in the deck, right?
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, this card is not good enough anymore.
Yep.
It was good enough like a few years ago, but not anymore. But like we're getting a lot of like sit on the battlefield like nonsense, like Yorion, like blink all of this stuff, just like annihilate your like hand. Right? Like you can't ever hold on to any cards. But yeah, this is like, you know, you could definitely like beside like Waste Not, like this punishes them for like for not having cards, and Waste Not with it's a Gyre Reach Sanitarium.
Yeah.
Like punishes them for if they like ever like try to have cards in their hand.
Right.
So yeah, just interesting.
Cool card. This next one is Cruel Claw's Heist. Black for a sorcery. It has gift a card. I'm not going to read that because I already did. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. Exile that card. If the gift was promised, you may cast that card for as long as it remains exiled, and mana of any type can be spent to cast it. This seems like a powerful discard card. I know like mid-range hasn't been super great recently, but like mono black has been pretty potent.
Like red black.
Yeah. 2 mana is a little bit above the going rate for like Inquisition or Thoughtseize. But like how important is this draw a card and then you get access to whatever their most powerful card is for the rest of the game?
I mean, it can be very good. Like, so it's a 2-for-1, but it's a 1-for-1, but it's weird, right? Like normally it's, you know, Thoughtseize or this is like black, get rid of a card, you've 1-for-1 them.
Yeah.
You're giving them a card, so like they started out with 7 cards in hand and they're gonna end with 7 cards in hand after the spell resolves, but now you're up a card.
Right.
So, you know, at least so
0 for 1.
It's still a 1-for-1. Right, because you gave them a card. Well, or is it a 2? No, it's a 2-for-1 because you gave them a card, and then you took I don't know. God, you gave them a card, so they're up 1 card.
Yeah.
Then they like go down a card, so then they're even.
Right.
And then you end up with a card in exile. So it is you
lost a card.
But you spent a card.
You spent a card.
Yes.
So it's a 0 for 0.
I think you're even.
All right.
Right.
We got there.
Something.
Yeah. But you're always going to get their best card, and they draw the card
always.
Before you get to look at it. So if the card they're going to draw is the best card in their hand, you get it.
Yeah. People were saying that you get the Thoughtseize to the top of their library now.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Right.
Well, kind of.
Because kind of.
They still have the top of their library.
They still have the top of their library.
They're still going to draw the card you took.
Exactly. Yeah. But or they draw a second copy, so it doesn't make sense to take the first one. Right. But yeah, like it is. I'm still trying to figure out, are we up a card at the end of it? But I don't think we are.
I think you are trading up on card quality. You're trading even on cards, but you're trading up on card quality because you're going to take you're going to turn this into their best card.
Yes. So like, that is then unthoughtseizable, if that matters for anything.
Yep.
I
mean, there's also stuff that cares about cards being cast from outside the game.
So like, I think that it gets hard because like we've had Transgress the Mind.
But Transgress the Mind was like, I know it's going back
a very
few
good
years,
standard
but
card.
That was a very playable card.
Like this you might be right that this is like standard playable. Like there's that like green black kind of like rockish deck with like Glissa and what's his name, the 3/2,
the Dread Knight.
Mosswood Dread Knight, yeah. So like this seems like it goes into a deck like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess if this resolves against like control and you like take their planeswalker,
Yeah,
right? You win like every one of those games, don't you?
probably.
You're just like, all right, like it's turn 2. I'll give you a card. I'll take your planeswalker,
Mm-hmm.
or like, you know, I'll give you a card and then I'll take your card draw spell or whatever.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the game, like I'll play this. Like you have to, it's here. You have to like hold your counter spell
You
for
have
it
to play
because
around for
like
the rest of the game.
yeah, you get wrecked by it.
Yep.
Or like take your counter spell and then like now you know that I can get you with something the whole game. Like
Yeah.
your black red deck now has like counter target Sunfall in it
Right.
for the rest of the game. So yeah, like I think that like thinking about it just as like a standard card, it probably is good enough.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I
But
certainly don't think this is like modern playable or legacy playable.
no, no, like I like so like I look at cards like I think about them as like Pioneer Explorer,
Yeah.
standard, and then like it takes a special kind of something
To break
to
through
like
Modern Horizons.
to break through Modern Horizons.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. Did they print a new dual land or tri land or tetra land that
Right.
is fetchable?
Yeah.
Like okay, that can see some play in Modern.
Yep.
But yeah, we need to have tetra lands, whatever those
Tetralands.
things were called, the weird 4-color legends
Oh, the
or
Nephilim.
Nephilim. I guess they're not legends.
They're not legends. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the commander people, the Nephilim lands or whatever.
Yeah.
Then I'll be like modern playable. But yeah, it's really hard to dethrone like Modern Horizons.
Right.
All right, this next one is yours as well. I'll let you talk about this guy.
Sure. This is Dark Star Augur. 2 and a black for a 2/3 Bat Warlock with Offspring, single black mana. It has flying, and at the beginning of your upkeep, reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. You lose life equal to its mana value. I mean, the obvious parallel here is Bob. This is
Mm-hmm.
just Bob,
It is just Bob.
but instead, it's a 2/3 flyer instead of a 1/1
Or
not
2-1.
flyer.
Mm-hmm.
Or 2/1 not flyer. For 1 more mana. So this
Yeah.
is a much more significant body.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, I think that Offspring cost is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, would you pay 4 mana for 2 Bobs out of a single piece of cardboard? I think
Absolutely.
every time, every single time.
Now,
And they both fly?
I think that like you have to build a very particular kind of deck
To not kill
to
yourself?
put 2 Bobs on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah, your curve,
But
like, stops at this guy.
yes, yeah. So it's got to be more of like, are there enough things to support this guy
Mhm.
to,
And, like, I know it's been a while since Bob has been good as well, but we don't have a good Bob in Pioneer.
no, like the Bob effect has been good.
Yeah.
Right. It's just like the body
Right.
has not lined up with like anything
Right.
for a very long time. And like this kind of takes care of the body issue.
Mhm.
And like, a four mana for a like 3/4 flyer across 2 bodies is not like embarrassing. Like
Right.
this kind of allows you to race a little bit,
Mhm.
where you can like try to race the life loss, and like it only takes like a couple like gaining a couple life here and there
Right.
to like make this thing fine.
Mhm.
I mean, what is it? Glint Sleeve Siphoner
Mhm.
was like a very playable card. Now, granted, that was 6-7 years ago,
Quite a while.
but it was a very playable card. And like black interactive decks look for this kind of effect.
Mhm.
So, like, this could have a home in those kind of like. So, like, if you're playing like the rack deck and your whole deck is just thought seizes and like all these like fatal pushes, there's a bunch of like 1 and 2 mana cards.
Yep.
And you're just like, I just need to keep my hand full.
Right.
Right. And like,
Hope
you've run them out of
Lily or Lily Dad.
Yeah, but you've like you've run them low on resources.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, play this, like they're not gonna have 2 removal spells.
Right.
Right? And you just are like, okay, like I'm gonna like, take 1.5 damage a turn or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And, beat you that way. Like that seems reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, oh gosh, if you have Gifted Aetherborn.
Oh yeah. So you're getting some
just like gaining you some life.
Yep.
Right, like that card still like sees play every so often. Yep. And like that's gonna gain you some life to offset what you're losing here.
Sure.
So yeah. I think this card can be good. Like you're right. Like as Pioneer Bob, it's probably pretty good.
Yeah. I think it's one of the best Bobs that we've had since Bob, I think.
Yes. Again, for the uninitiated, that's Dark Confidant.
Yeah, sorry.
That's right.
Next up is kind of 2 cards. I know there was one point where when we were doing these kind of set review episodes, we would just talk about removal as a generality.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I wanted to do here. We have 2 kind of similar black removal spells, and I just wanted to touch on them, let you know they exist, and like maybe where they might fall into either standard or pioneer.
Mm-hmm.
The first one we have is Feed the Cycle. It's 1 in a black for an instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, forage or pay black. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. So it's either Hero's Downfall or forage and then a cheaper Hero's Downfall.
Yeah.
And then the other one is Fell. 1 in a black for a sorcery, but destroy target creature. Just flat destroy a creature.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously I think Hero's Downfall, or strictly better Hero's Downfall, is kind of the superior card here.
Mm-hmm.
The sorcery speed is definitely going to affect the playability of Fell, but we don't typically get just 1 in a black destroy target creature.
Without some sort of like drawback or limitation. Like
right.
we've had like Go for the Throat recently.
Right.
And it's an instant, but it's like non-artifact.
Mm-hmm.
And like that drawback has not been super apparent.
Right.
So like this is probably worse than Go for the Throat unless it's like in a very specific metagame.
Yeah, because it's a sorcery.
Yes, exactly. I was thinking, was it Walk the Plank? Like black. Destroy it like non-merfolk,
non-pirate, non-merfolk or something.
Yeah, but like it was like, oh, that's got to be really good. Like saw no play, and this is better than that. Yeah. But the sorcery speed it really hurts it.
Yep. What about strictly better Hero's Downfall? I mean, I know it's been quite some years since Hero's Downfall was a staple in a format, but
so one, I think it's funny. The trajectory of Hero's Downfall.
Yeah.
It was a rare in Theros, and Theros now is like 9-10 years ago.
Yep. 10 years.
Then it was, Then it was recently
downshift
an uncommon, and then they printed Breathe Your Last.
Yeah.
Which is Hero's Downfall, but you gain life.
Yep.
And now we're to Feed the Cycle, which is better Hero's Downfall.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this sits somewhere between Murderous Cut and Hero's Downfall.
Okay.
Right? Because if you think about it, like Murderous Cut was 5 in a black, 4 in a black, 4 in a black.
With Delve.
Right? Yeah. So Delve 3 on that was 1 in the black, destroy a creature at instant speed.
Right.
Right? So this basically is Delve 3 1 and a black, kill a thing.
It's
Creature or
planeswalkers.
planeswalker.
Though. I mean,
Yeah, creature or planeswalker.
Planeswalkers.
Yeah. But what I was saying is like Murderous Cut was like very playable. Now it was oftentimes like a 1 or a 2 of because like you didn't always have that much in your graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
But this has the buyout case of like just pay a black mana
or get rid of a food. Like, I mean, there's a whole bunch of cards where you just have food laying around sometimes.
Mm-hmm. So like, Feed the Cycle is in the mail to replace Breathe Your Last in the cube. I don't know why I'm buying these cards. We're just gonna print like a better one of these in like 2 sets, but because like it's Hero's Downfall with more flexibility, right? And like you're never gonna like Hero's Downfall is close, but not probably quite good enough for like modern Magic.
Yeah.
But like Terminate's still good. Like Dreadbore, right? If Dreadbore was an instant.
Yeah. And this is very close to instant speed Dreadbore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? But it does have the like the buyout of, oh man, I guess I'll just pay 3 mana for it.
Yeah.
Right? So like it is somewhere between instant speed Dreadbore and Hero's Downfall.
Yeah.
But I think a good comparison is like the decks that would want like Murderous Cut probably want this. Like there are going to be times where you're like, man, I wish this was 1 mana.
Yeah.
But there's going to be times that you're happy that it can kill a hero, Teferi Hero of Dominaria. Right, and you would just stare at a Murderous Cut in your hand and be like, I can't do anything with this.
Yeah.
Right, and on like turn 3, if they play like oh gosh, what is the Sentinel of the Sunken City or whatever it is, and you're like, boy howdy, I'm glad I can just pay 3 mana and kill that as opposed to getting snowballed. Right, like you just have that. But then like in like kind of a more dedicated graveyard deck, if you're Satyr Wayfinding or you're what is that cash grabbing, right? Then this card like gets real good because it's like 2 mana, just take care of any problem.
Right.
So I think just like the flexibility is where you want to be. So we had a hard out at like an hour. We hit an hour, but we have 4 black cards left. You just want to call it here? We'll pick up black cards on.
Yeah, I hate to call it in the middle of a color, but I have to do everything tonight and then drive back through the standing water in the dark. So
we'll call it now. So we're halfway through black. So if we missed any white cards or blue cards that you were like, oh my god, how could they not talk about that? Let us know.
Yeah, hit us up.
Facebook, Discord, Twitter, all of that stuff. Yep. Oh, I think we got a show in there somewhere. I think we got a show.
Yeah, we got a show.
Okay.
So you can hit us up if there's any cards we missed out on. Brian just gave you the rundown. Links are in the description for all of those things if you wish to peruse and click, or you can just search us and find us there. If you want to support the show, there's a couple ways you can do it. The first is with our TCG player affiliate link, CasualTryHard.com/TCG. Surf on over there, do your shopping, buy your Bloomborough cards, and support the show at the same time. The second is with Patreon, patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG. You can chip a couple bucks in. You get access to more content from us in the form of our pre-show, and you also get access to my show notes, so you can see what we're going to be talking about in the upcoming episode. And when we do episodes like this, where we end up splitting it, you get a sneak peek about the episode after as well. If any of that sounds good to you, or you just want to support the show, like I said, patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG.
Yeah. So with that, we'll catch you on the internet.
We'll catch you on the internet.